Yeah, I know.
Okay, we need to get started. Let's see. Welcome to the March Aero Club Safety Meeting, and we're in March already, and we're also on March too. So, my name's Roger Mann. I'm the safety officer, and let's see. Who do we? Let's see. We got some advisors here. Who are the advisors? Raise your hands. Any advisors? Wing advisors?
Fred, raise your hand.
Yeah, you'll give us some advice.
Oh yeah, he doesn't. Well, nobody showed up, huh? Okay, well, okay, yeah, don't forget the sign-in sheet. Okay, we're going to do things a little bit different tonight, but the same too. We got Bob Pierce here as the Aero Club manager, and we got Jerry Rollis, who's instructor, and we got John, who's another instructor, and I don't know, who else do we got? And then we got our maintenance man over here, Dave G., the best mechanic in the West Coast. Well, at least in March. Well, yeah, anyhow, in the Aero Club. And then we got Jason Rurick, who's taking pictures. And so welcome. Okay, we have an agenda, and first thing we usually do is we introduce new people, people who have joined the club recently, who've not been to a safety meeting recently or any time. So, new people. Stand up and introduce yourself.
I'm Nicholas Dukes. I'm living on the East Coast, and I'm here TDY, and figured I'd get started.
It's a good place to be right now.
Definitely. The wife's a little upset with me after last week's snowstorm, but other than that, I'm enjoying it.
Oh, well.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Welcome to the club. Okay, anybody else? Huh?
Who's the rejoin?
Well, you're a rejoin. You stand up.
My name's Ryan Tor. Was a member about a year and a half ago. I moved to San Diego for a while. Now I'm back. So how are you doing?
You discovered that it's a lot nicer up here than San Diego.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anybody else that's Murph, we probably should have you be a rejoin too, but
Do I need to resign?
no, you're a speaker. He's one of our speakers tonight. So, okay. All right. Next, new pilot ratings. All right. Has any of the guys who just got their pilot ratings just recently in here today? See, they get their private pilot's license, and then they just, that's it. You never see them again. Nobody? Has anybody gotten anything? Solo flight.
Somebody soloed, I know.
I know somebody soloed. All right. That's been a long time coming.
I'm 3 times older than everybody.
Well, okay, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, it took you 3 times longer too. Yeah. Not necessarily though. Let's see. Okay, anything else? Anybody that's done anything? This includes Air Force planes too, not just Aero Club. Got Q3 lately? Anybody get violated by the FAA? Okay. Boy, we're trying to make this place exciting. Okay. Experiences. This is where we talk about anything that you went through in the last whatever, Experiences like, I was on the runway and I took off in my Cessna 172 and climbed 40,000 feet in 10 seconds. Stuff like that. Nobody's had anything go on. I can't believe that. I really don't.
Who turned off their transponder?
Well, that's true. Yeah, turned off their transponder. David G., I know you do sighting things in your airplane. Actually, it's your brother.
I do it by accident, though.
Oh, okay. Scott Swartz. Anything? Nothing?
Nothing. I did a bunch of cadet orientation flights over the weekend. So
Oh, okay. Well, that's significant. Yeah, probably. Hopefully, somebody out of that will either been scared to death of flying ever again or will become a pilot in the future.
One cadet was scared, actually.
Oh, is
He just was nervous about flying.
oh yeah,
That happened.
yeah,
But,
that happens.
you know, I told him I'd never fly in bird again like that.
Gee. Okay, we'll have a real quick with the Aero Club manager. Hopefully it's quick because we got a fairly long meeting tonight. Know your SOPs. We'll run over that. I may skip over that because of time, possibly. So we'll see. Hey, that's about the 781s, you know. And then we're going to have a few words from ATC, Mr. ATC himself, and a little scary, and then we're going to talk about hot spots, and that's going to be John Law, our chief flight instructor, for those of you that don't know. And then we're going to talk about non-towered airports. Okay, Aero Club manager. Make it quick.
That's the way it was on Wednesday.
Yes, that's probably true.
Half there and half Wednesday. Couple things, just want to cover. It's bug time again, so whoever's flying, you gotta clean the leading edges of the wings. We have one gentleman here who cleans all the airplanes after the students are done or anybody else is flying, and that's Bill Cooper. So it's not his job to clean up after somebody else. Because it's a club, it's your responsibility to make sure it's clean for the next person. So I'm asking you again, please clean the airplanes afterwards. So when you do your scheduling, give yourself enough time to fly, ground school, and clean the airplane afterwards so that the next person can have enough time. Don't try and squeeze something in the middle and then do a rust job, because I'm gonna start putting the screws to everybody after this. It's just getting to a point that you're not helping out the club. It becomes a real issue when this hot sun bakes all that juice on the leading edges. You've gotta scrub pretty hard. Try and do that. Don't forget, mark down the oil if you put oil in any aircraft. We're not showing much oil usage, and yet the Conex, that's the yellow box out there by the fuel tank, gets lower by the week. So somewhere along the line, someone's taking the oil, or it's being put in the aircraft and not marking it down. Please mark it down. That goes on your invoice, by the way, when you check in the aircraft, and also goes on, just make a little note after your name on the fuel schedule.
I found that oil, Bob.
You did?
Yeah, it's on the bottom of 290 Foxtrot.
Yeah. We're still working on that one.
Yeah, I gotta talk to you about that one.
Maintenance-wise, we're down to just a few aircraft. You all know about that. It's really tight. I opened up some emails today. I've yet to see anything from contracts in regards to the repair for the wing on 555 or the engine for 557, or any of the other stuff that I should be getting, which is the minutes from the last council meeting in regards to, when I receive the council minutes, I can go out and put up a purchase request, and I can get some things fixed on the aircraft so we can get them back up again. But it seems like it's a day late and a dollar short around here, so just bear with me. As I come back to work tomorrow morning, that's the first thing I'm gonna do, is get on the telephone and start making phone calls to see where this stuff is. So just give Roger a hand for handling the show while I was gone, and I hope you didn't give him a hard time. Thanks.
Yeah, Roger. Ken Benner, thanks for cleaning the aircraft too.
Yes, I was going to say Ken Benner and Robert Youngblood. Those three definitely get into cleaning the airplanes really good, and then Tyler does a real good job also. So,
Bill, you're a good waxer. I don't know about the washing stuff.
yeah, he's a good waxer, yeah. Let's see. There was something I was going to say and I forgot what it is. Okay. SOPs, I'm real quick. It's just it's on chapter 6, and we're talking about the 781As. And everybody knows that when you get a write-up, whatever you do, if you write up anything on the airplane, especially if you have to red X the airplane or ground it, please leave a note on my desk, because sometimes David doesn't get into the computer or see it, and we don't necessarily run over to the boards and look at the maintenance for the airplanes that flew the day before. If we're not there, please leave a note. whatever you do, don't put a red X or ground the airplane for simple things. You know, like there's a bald spot on the tire. Well, okay, just, you know, you might want to put it in the computer, but just do it diagonal. Don't ground the airplane. Let the next pilot that flies it make his command decision if he feels it's safe or not. But don't just automatically ground the airplane. You know, if you got something like you know, your directional gyro quit working or something like that, let David do that part of it. Now, obviously, if you got a flat tire or you couldn't get the gear down and you had to crank it down or things like that, obviously you would ground the airplane. But just think about, you know, before you do any grounding of an airplane, just think through what it is that you know, what constitutes grounding or an unsafe condition, and or let it be a decision maker for the next pilot in command, one of the two. Now, that's just real quick on the SOPs. Okay, David Murphy. He's been a member of this club for 400 years. The last time he flew was in 2006. I looked it up today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has been a while.
But he handles you guys when you're out there flying around and all over the place. And
So it's
so,
good to see all the Air Club people. It's been a while. Normally I'm supposed to come over here over quarterly, but it's been a while, so I apologize for that. But first of all, just an update on the control towers being erected. It should be fully operational sometime in the middle of May. There has been delays, so it's going to be towards the end of May before it actually gets occupied and we start working out of there. And we're looking forward to it quite a bit. First, just some information. I've been up to the tower a couple of times, watched the Air Club fly, and everybody's been doing an outstanding job as far as air traffic control, Aero Club, complying with our instructions, which is, you know, helps us out. Especially if you see the big heavy guys floating around, you know you can anticipate some delays because of the 3-minute wake turbulence. We want you guys to be safe. The runways aren't separated enough so we can do simultaneous operations. View controller will squeeze you out a little bit, you know, try to accommodate you. But at the same time, it's their ticket they're putting on the line if they violate that 3-minute and anything occurs. Just an example of that, we had a complaint from a customs PC-12 coming into March and said he got too close to a heavy on final. So he said he got flipped. And so we went, wow, that is way too close if that occurred. So we pull the tapes, which we can now since everything's digitized. We pull our radar tape. The guy's 6.5 miles from the heavy. So it's kind of hard to get wake turbulence at 6 miles on a straight in approach. So we kind of, you know, raise the BS flag and go from there. So if you guys...
What road was he doing?
Say what? Yeah. So if any of you have a complaint about the air traffic control, the environment you were in, how you were handled, let us know. Like I say, we have radio communications. We pull that tape. If it's a radar issue, we'll pull that tape. So we'll either confirm your issue or we can disprove what really occurred. So it could have been David G trying to fly upside down accidentally. But anyway, that's the things. And today I had a couple airplanes go out, and I know we had a T-34 coming in. I don't know who was flying it, but they got issued a 360 on a downwind. That was the same issue. We had a heavy, and a police helicopter on the inside runway playing around. So if you ask why we got delayed, it's because of the heavy, it's not because of the helicopter. That's pretty much it. Like I say, you guys have been doing an outstanding job. The frequency of whatever you're flying has been, you know, I'm probably an assistant in it. And of course your instructors. I know I've talked to a couple of them. Of course, I talk to anybody that I know. When I hear them on the radio, I'll say hi. But, thank you. Any questions?
Dave, what if anybody wants to go up to see the tower, or even an old one, if they want to, just give you a call or give the...
Yeah, give the tower a call, see who's working. It's always been our policy to let you come up to the tower. As long as everything's functional, we'll try to get you up. And you have the direct number, I believe, at Air Club for the tower?
I believe so, yeah. I think we...
I got the tower's number. Okay. Yeah, just give us a call. Same way when you're going out to fly. That's another good idea. If you think you want to stay in the tower pattern, give the tower a call prior to you know, wanting to do just local flights. Because we can tell you, hey, there's gonna be a couple of heavies, so you can expect some extensive delays. So, you know, we can help you out, just giving you a heads up on what we got inbound for staying local.
I was just gonna say, I recommend it. I took a couple of gentlemen up there today, and we were up there for about half an hour, looking at everything, getting some questions answered, so it's well worth the trip.
And like I say, come back up in May, first part of June, and really see what a real air traffic control tower is gonna look like, because that is really a nice
What was
facility.
the delay on that? Curiosity, I heard rumors.
Which one?
The new tower, what was the delay? I heard
Oh, they have an
rumors.
air barrier issue, so air is escaping out of the shaft of the tower, so that's gonna be the big one. Army Corps said, no, we're not accepting it, so.
I heard it was the visual or something.
No, well, initially, when they put in the tower cab itself, the floor was about 36 inches too low. So you're trying to look through the tower, and it's gonna be hard to see the ramp plus any of the airplanes. So they raised the floor up, so now it's a nice view.
taller air control?
Yeah, that's it. But, you know, they got that all fixed so that,
I thought they were gonna have to order taller controllers.
yeah, that's it. I think that'll be a mandate. It would have been a mandate. You gotta be 6+ that you can see out the windows. But, yeah, they got that all fixed. But right now, the delay is, well, there's 2 delays. Con Squadron delayed on ordering the radio rack, or the antenna array up on the tower. So that's 45 days behind schedule. But also the air barrier was another key player, which they're gonna tear down sides of the tower walls to re-spray it. Yeah, we had to go read for Mr. Fred.
Hey, Dave, when you mount those antennas with that lower tower, are you gonna have any different, do you think any more radio blind spots, or are you looking into that? Have you got any radiation
Well,
stuff on that?
Yeah, they're not anticipating it. The Con Squadron has said, no, we'll have as good as coverage we've always had.
Now, those all new radios?
They'll be, all new wiring, not new radios. They'll just move the racks over to the tower. They can't afford that.
So you can be on handhelds for a while?
We're gonna be on we'll probably be on handhelds for about a week now. Yeah, so that'll be entertaining. No tower display, so,
Oh, wow.
you know, we might be telling you guys a lot of different, hey, report here, report there, so we know exactly where so we've been so spoiled with, you know, the radar and everything, we know where everybody is. And I have no idea where that missing airplane is. Anything else, guys? All right, thanks.
Thanks, David. Okay. John Law. John is going to do Okay, hopefully that pops up. Yep, and it's probably all blurry, but
Well, you had hot spots up there, but it's actually a hot topics, okay. I
Yeah,
will talk
well,
about
that's
hot
what
spots too.
well, that's
Okay.
that's from your desk, so. Gave to
So
me.
now, how do I advance?
Oh, that one, it's off that computer now. So you just, you just hit the down arrow.
Okay. Anyway, I thought I would tell you about some things that happened. We've had some guys get their check rides, get their private license. A couple of them are here tonight. 3 of them. I see Danny back there now too. I guess Garrett's the only one that's not here. He usually doesn't come to meetings, does he?
No, he doesn't. But see, were you guys here when I asked us have you stand up? You were. Yeah. Yeah, I asked you if you guys have got new pilot's license, land up.
You asked him last month the same thing.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of people here haven't seen him.
Anyway, after sitting through some orals and stuff like that, I've learned what the examiner is looking for and what he asks questions about. And I thought I would share that with you tonight. Of course, the FAA is behind it. They always are, right? It's their fault, and I'm sticking to it. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
But anyway, a lot of it's common sense, and maybe some things that we should pass on to the rest of you, not just to get the people who are getting their check rides. So I thought I would do that. And first of all, how about inspections? And just summarize there, every 12 months you get an annual. David G. and his folks do that. I got the ELT at the bottom. He also tests the ELT there annually. And then I'm going to step out here a little bit so I can see what I'm talking about here. And VOR, if you're using it for IFR, it's got to be every 30 days written up that it's agrees with your other VOR. If you've got two of them, altimeter and pedostatic every 24 months, transponder 24 months, and ELT, like I said, we test it. But then there is a thing that if you replace the batteries, you want to replace the batteries and transmitters and cumulatively used for more than an hour, or when 50% of the useful life is expired. But if it's got rechargeable batteries, it becomes rechargeable. How much fuel? We got rules for that, regulations, FAA regulations, but the Aero Club overrides all those. We did have a PIF here about somebody running out of gas, and so that's another reason to strive for fuel reserves, if you will. Like I said, here's the FAA's take on it: 30 minutes during the day, 45 at night, but AeroClip says 1 hour. Which means you should have about 12 gallons in your tank in most of the airplanes that we fly out here. Hotspots. What are hotspots? Defined as, and I got to look at it here too. It's a movement area on the airport, has potential risk of collision, runway incursions, things like that. Places where heightened attention by pilots and drivers out there should be necessary. Where do you find them? On airport diagrams, and I've got a couple here. And your description, if you got an airfield directory, airport facility directory, it can be found at the beginning of the section where the diagrams are. Of course, you can also go to the FAA.gov website. But anyway, listed on airport diagrams. Let me come in a little bit and you'll see what I'm talking about. So these hotspots are numbered. That's hotspot 1. I don't think this is real clear. You probably can't make that out. But anyway, this over here explains what that hotspot is, where it is, and why it's there. People are not talking to somebody when they turn off the runway or onto a taxiway, or they mean to turn from one taxiway to another and they end up on the runway. That's how the runway incursions happen, perhaps. Land and hold short. There's about 200 airports in the United States that have land and hold short operations. And if you want some more information about it, go to your AIM 4-3-11 and you can read up on it. I got a few questions about it here too. What is it? Air traffic control procedure that requires you to land and hold short of a runway, a taxiway, something like that. They're going to tell you how much runway you've got before you get to that, or they're supposed to anyway, before you get to that taxiway or runway, whatever it is. Has to be VFR. Has to be at least 1,000 feet ceiling and 3 miles viz. Do you have to accept a LASO or whatever you want to call it? No, you don't have to. If you think that you can't safely land and hold short of that spot, then tell him you want to keep circling or whatever he wants you to do so you can land on the whole length or land on a different runway.
I would like to make a comment before you go. You might be covering it. Usually on the ATIS it'll say report if you're unable to do it on initial contact with approach, because they're going to sequence you, assuming that you can do hold short operations. If you don't intend on doing it, let the approach control know that you can't do it so that they can allow for that in their spacing, because when you get on final and you tell the tower I can't hold short, you're going to screw everything up.
Yeah.
And then if you don't, they get by. Well,
Yeah, so the point is, if you can't, if you can, you determine you can't safely accept it, then decline that. So there's going to be verbiage, and we get more and more of these, where you've got to read back everything about the runway, what you're going to hold short of, the taxiway point, something like that. So if he reads you that, you've got to read it back to him word for word, if you do accept it. Okay, one place they do it is up at Santa Barbara. And you can see there's some hot spots on that diagram too. But anyway, an example would be you're cleared to land on runway 7 and he tells you to hold short of these runways here. Now, when you land and you get to taxi speed, what are you supposed to do? Just hold short? No. Turn off on the taxiway. Go ahead and turn off the runway like you normally would. Okay, let's talk about airspace a little bit. Just as sort of a refresher, but they sort of need a working knowledge of it, if you will. Alpha airspace, you're probably not going to get up there in your Cessna 180. We do a lot of traffic in Charlie and Delta airspace. Charlie right here at March. If you go to Riverside, you're in Delta airspace. A couple of guys that I have talked to, they say, well, the mode C, I don't need if I in C airspace if I climb up to 5,500 feet, I'm above the Charlie airspace. Wrong. You still need mode C. Okay. How about Riverside? We don't need mode C. But I was over there the other day and he asked us to turn altitude on. So he can read your altitude. So turn your altitude on your transponder on. Class B, we don't get into that very much. If you go direct out to Catalina, you can go through the Class B. Why? Because you want to be up to 8,500 feet. You can't go under the Class B if you're going to go direct to Catalina. So we do get in Class B sometimes. VFR cruising altitudes. Okay, you're going east, odd altitudes plus 500 when you're above 3,000 AGL. Other direction, even plus 500, again above 3,000 AGL. I like this slide because it puts them all together, because they're all about the same if you're below 10,000 feet. There are a couple of them that are different, Class B being one of them, just clear of clouds. Class G, if you're below 1,200 feet, clear of clouds. The rest of these have all got cloud clearance that we should be aware of anyway. Weather products. Look at AIMS 7-1 meteorology. You can find a lot of weather products. A lot of you I know use duets and things like that. Self-medication, this came up. I was sort of surprised, but what about it? Okay. Tell your doctor that you fly. Does he know there are effects on you when you fly? Have him talk to your FAA medical examiner, perhaps. Mine's one and the same, so I don't have to worry about that. So that's a good, good thing. The FAA does have a brochure, medication and flying. Go to faa.gov, read up on it. When you fill your prescription, ask your pharmacist what the side effects are. He'll be the guy that knows what the side effects are of any drug you might be taking. Okay, here's the questions. What is true airspeed? Indicated calibrated airspeed, correct for temperature and altitude. No, stupid, that's how you get to it. What is true airspeed? Okay. Okay, where's the CG? It's more nose heavy or more tail heavy? It's more nose heavy. Is it more stable or not? More stable, yes. What airplanes are required to have a 100-hour inspection? ORs. Why? Because they carry passengers and are used for instruction. Most people just say that because you carry passengers, you have to have the 100-hour, but it's also for instruction. Okay, so when you're cross country, you encounter weather not as forecast. You want to tell some people about it or make a PIRE rep. And you want to call somebody besides flight service. Who would you call and what's the difference? Flight watch on 122. Difference is flight watch can't change your flight plan, stuff like that. If weather's below minimums, how can you proceed without an IFR clearance? Special. What are special VFR minimums day? Clear of clouds. How about at night? What's the viz? 3 miles at night. And the pilot has to be instrument rated and the airplane has to be instrument capable, they say. Can the tower offer you a special VFR clearance? No. Okay, suppose there's it's a little different question, I guess. Ammeter showing a discharge, would you reduce loading or by turning off radios or lights? Generally, the radios use very little power, even when they're transmitting, so turn off all your lights. Doing that, you may be able to get back to the airport. If that doesn't work, then you might have to do the Nordo pattern. And here at March, we enter from the east only, and consider using your cell phone to call base ops. Okay, that's from a tower guy that's unnamed, that said maybe I should think about using. Go ahead, Scott.
I was just like a dumb question, but what is the rule regarding using your cell phone in air? And I've been told it's illegal, and it's so illegal.
Well, that's personal. I think the airlines are going to come out and say, in certain situations, you can use your cell phone. So, are you going to mess up the navigation system on your Cessna? And I don't think so.
Well, I thought it was an FCC rule that the FAA was enforcing because they're worried about activating.
I think there's a lot of gray area there. I think if you need to talk to somebody, you ought to get your cell phone out and try to talk to them.
I flew Alaska Airlines last week, and they did not require anybody to turn their cell phones off.
Well, Chinese, you're allowed to use.
Now, if you're flying Malaysia, you can turn your cell phone off.
You don't have to turn off electric devices, but you can't, you're not supposed to talk on cells.
They didn't say anything about cells, they don't say you were using them.
Well, you're not supposed to.
Maybe
Well,
turn computers off.
They messed up then. I think you're supposed to make a determination that your electronic equipment you're using in your airplane does not affect your instruments for private pilot type uses and things like that. When you get into commercial and stuff like that, then it's, you know, we have rules. But you, I think as a private
Sell
pilot.
those cables, you can hook it into the phone system, so you can hook your cell phone right into it. That's for the ground, all right?
Okay, how about wake turbulence?
4 minutes.
Take off before his point of getting airborne. Turn upwind if you can, or wait. Tower's going to have you wait 3 minutes. We're hearing from Mr. Murphy over here.
6 miles back.
Land past his touchdown point, because wake turbulence is only generated by wing producing lift. What if your attitude indicator starts failing? Another systems question. Check the vacuum gauge. The vacuum pump is connected to the engine, powers the gyro for not only your attitude indicator, but your DG. So the vacuum gauge is close to zero, land as soon as practical, maybe. Okay. On your cross country, what should you consider using to choose your en route altitude?
Whether east or west.
East or west, right?
And the highest point in your sectional.
Terrain.
Right.
Anything else? Airspace?
Well, the air.
MEA.
MEA if you're going IFR, okay. And weather. Okay, any questions? Next.
I want to talk about the radio and your cell phone. What? Someone said they could use a cell phone in flight. There's 2 things you need to consider. If you're flying one of our aircraft and you've lost your radios, I would use the cell phone and call the tower, which is 655-4404. However, on a commercial airliner, you are not allowed to use it. So they're, on your telephone, they have what they call airplane mode. If you click on airplane mode, you cannot transmit. And that's what the savior is by using your cell phone to play games or anything else. You still can't use the cell phone on an airline.
This is what it looks like, airplane mode.
It's an airplane mode, that's right.
Airplane mode. Did.
Well, I mean, you can use it, but not as a cell phone. So you can use it for all the,
All your
if
data.
you want to hook up to the Wi-Fi, if it's available on the plane.
You can do Wi-Fi, and they charge you so much, $30 for an hour or so, whatever it is. Just be aware that it's illegal.
Okay, continuing on with our safety meeting tonight. We got several students here, and especially Joan. She probably knows all this stuff real well. Non-towered airports. I'm just doing a brush up on the non-towered airports, just in case you guys forgot. A lot of you, I know you students fly in non-towered most of the time, although if you go to Riverside, that's a towered airport. But there are some things that you need to go over. How many have been in French Valley just recently? Yeah, I've heard some stories even today about French Valley. This is what French Valley does not do. Well, let me put it this way, half the people don't do it. This is the basic traffic pattern. And most of you are pretty familiar with this. They've got, going around here. You know, most of you, of course, most of the time we don't ever come down like this. That's the upwind. And rarely do we ever come around and do this either, unless we just took off. But the basic pattern is just, you know, you got the downwind, and then you got well, no, this is crosswind down here. This is the base leg, and then you got final, and then landing. And of course, if you're taking off again, you come around and do your racetrack pattern around like that. And that's the basic pattern. You have these usually on non-towered airports. You got these three, or actually these, these three symbols. Some of them incorporate all three of them. Up in Northern California, where I'm from, we see a lot of the wind tees like this. And you also have these tetrahedrons. I was surprised the first time I ever saw one many, many years ago when I first got my license, how big those things are. I didn't realize it was so huge. And then, of course, you got the windsock. We used to have two of them off our runway. Is it? Okay, I thought we lost one.
There's nothing up there.
They got them off now?
I couldn't both up there.
Yeah, they're both up there.
Oh, okay, okay.
They got them back.
Yeah, so sometimes, yeah.
Like the tower says, right?
Yeah. And you know, it's always nice to have a windsock, because then that way you kind of let, you know, you can hear what the tower tells you, but that windsock's telling you the truth, exactly what it is at the point that you're coming down. Okay, let me move on. Okay, I'm not going to go through this whole verbiage here, but basically, if you have a all your turns are usually on the left unless otherwise specified, and it usually says RP for right pattern. I should have John come up here doing this, and Joan could probably come here and do it too. You know all this stuff real well, right? Yeah.
Practiced a lot.
Practice a lot, yeah. Usually what you got to do, like for instance today, I'll let Robert talk about that at French Valley, about right pattern and left pattern. Kind of tell your story about what happened at French Valley today.
We were coming in on the 45, and before I got there, I was probably about 7 miles out, and called for just a traffic report. And all I got back was right traffic for 3-6, and it should have been left traffic for 3-6.
Left traffic for 1-8.
For 1-8.
Yeah, but they were given for 3-6 is what they were landing on.
So it should have been right traffic.
Okay, so well, he gave me the opposite. He gave me the left. So another pilot came back on a couple minutes later, and he clarified the right pattern for 3-6. But we came in and landed on 3-6, and we're rolling out, and a pilot calls short final. So we get off on the first taxiway, and it's just as we clear the line, we look back, there's a big twin engine rolling down the runway behind us. And we get in, we park, we go in there, we start eating, and John comes in a few minutes later, and what we noticed when we were sitting there is one aircraft had just come in on 1A. Well, we see another aircraft go by upwind, and another airplane is landing on 3-6. And this went on, there was at least 3 different aircraft that came in. 2 would land on 3-6, another one would land on 1A. Then another one on 3-6, and then 2 more come in and land on 1A. It went on for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then finally everybody kind of sorted it out and started coming in from 1A.
Yeah, that's French Valley.
Yeah.
See,
That's my typical experience there too.
yeah.
Because if you listen to the AWAS, you're liable to get instantaneous winds in basically a 2 or 3 knot situation, the wind going in all different directions. So somebody comes roaring in from someplace and turns on the AWAS and he gets 360 at 2. We're all still landing on 36. Next guy comes in and he hears 18 at 3. So, and maybe it's a crosswind at 2 knots. So the problem in French Valley is people don't stay on long enough to find out what the winds are. That's a constant problem. I don't know what you guys had when you landed down there, Jim.
I got down there about noon, and I think they had settled down with using runway 18, but as I was flying over Hemet, I'm listening to Hemet's frequency 23.0, and I hear people doing pattern reporting for French Valley on Hemet's frequency. And I say, you're on the wrong frequency, even though I'm, 15 miles away. And I go, so I'm saying, you're on Hemet's frequency, so I don't hear them say anything, so I figure that they've gone over to French Valley's frequency. So that's one of the problems. People do traffic reporting at French Valley on other Unicoms, not the Unicom in French Valley. But when I got there, I did a position report about 8 to 10 miles out, and I'm listening, and I said, is there anybody in the pad, just to kind of get a heads up, and I heard a couple guys, in different positions for 18. So I entered a 45 downwind for 18 and landed that one.
Roger,
Looks weird there.
I'm missing something. Isn't the actual receiver transmitter located in an office as well on the airport? If there's no traffic, can you not call at many, many airports? What runway are you using?
Yeah.
If they're open,
Yeah.
then you don't run into that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, you can call Unicom, but as I show a little bit later here, Unicom is not obligated to talk on the radio at all. They do not have to talk to you. And I'm not sure, I don't know, I wasn't on, down there today, so I don't know if Unicom was even working or if anybody tried it. So I don't know.
Well,
But,
it certainly sounds like a pretty dangerous 15 minutes.
well, it is. See, the problem is,
A lot of people are aware of an uncontrolled airport. There's no such thing as an active runway.
yeah.
I mean, there is no runway assigned. It's the closest to the airport. Landing on that runway is the runway he's gonna land. If you're in the other opposite direction and he's closer than you, you have to go around for him.
Yeah.
There is no assigned. That's where a lot of people get a confusion, is you leave an air traffic control facility, they give you the runway in use, everybody conforms. But an uncontrolled airport, it's not so. So that's why you always enter on a downwind. If there's some question, you got a damn radio, ask. I see a guy on upwind, hey, what's the active runway here? What are we using? I mean, I've heard it at French Valley,
Yeah.
but it's the closest one to the runway is the runway and use that guy can have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they don't all have radios either in French Valley. I had somebody taken off while I was on final.
Exactly, but if you
Taken
see
off at
that,
me.
you just avoid it, I'll teach that son of a bitch a lesson, I mean, you bypass that.
Yeah. Yeah, French Valley is somewhat of an experience.
Well,
to touch on his point, on the sectional, it does show 122.3, not the Unicom. It shows the CTAP is 122.3.
Oh, yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you're looking at just the chart, you would be on the wrong frequency.
Okay. That's interesting. Huh. That'd be worth looking to see what that's about. Yeah.
They're doing this, maybe doing this, I've got a picture of one on one.
122.3 is the CTAP.
That's why you don't just kick the tires and light the fires when you go. Landing aircraft have the right of way over aircraft on the ground. The speed of your aircraft determines what size of the traffic pattern. Of course, obviously, if you're faster, your traffic pattern will be further up. That's what you got to watch out for at French Valley or any airport, for an airplane that may be coming in that's faster than you are. The problem is that you run into what Robert ran into, an airplane announcing short final. You know, I've seen it happen before myself. They never even say anything until they're just right on final and then say on final and they're landing. Never talked before that. So you have that problem too. Let's see. ASF recommends that pilots maneuver so as to be established on final approach a half to 3/4 of a mile from the end of the runway. And that's another one too where I've run into where you have airplanes coming in further out. If you've got an airplane that's faster than you are, which most airplanes are for our airplanes, you know, they probably are going to come out and come in on you. The thing is that they should be watching out for you too. Unfortunately, we run into, you know, aviation breeds pride. And unfortunately, got a lot of pilots out there that because they fly a faster and more engines on their airplane than you do, that they have the right of way of everything. And you just have to be aware of that. So, you know.
I just got to give you my one French Valley. I had a fellow who's just retired from the airlines. Doing a check out Civil Air Patrol. We were number 3 downwind to 1-8. There was one guy someplace up on base, we think. Okay, that part was pretty good. Now comes 2 guys in from the west, separated, who claim they're going to pass over the field and enter downwind. There's hardly time to ask them what altitude might they be coming in across the field. So that made us a little nervous there. About that time, a private jet is now reporting to GPS 4 miles on final. I said, well, okay, we still got this pretty well at hand. Then an L-39 calls up, doing a simulated engine out. And the fellow on the right is about to leave general aviation. And you look over to the right, and just outside the pattern, maybe 2 miles of view, are 2 hang gliders, motorized hang gliders,
What?
sort of a formation.
Oh,
Going
gee.
the same way. We left, of course.
Yeah.
But I think that's about typical down there.
Yeah.
And that was with a good wind at 1-8. Lord knows what would happen.
Yeah.
If it was calm.
Yeah, no kidding.
Protect yourself there.
Yes.
When they put the tire in down there.
After they have a major accident.
Okay.
Yeah, that's usually what happens.
See, we have 2 towers here. We're even safer.
Yeah, we got 2 towers now. Kind of makes you appreciate Murph yelling at you over the radio. Yeah. Okay. Many single-engine airplanes fly at 70, 80 knots. Most of them, a good portion of them do. Even Bob's A36 does. Of course, John's 777. Is that what you're flying now, John?
No, 737.
737. Oh, well, that's not very fast. That's a slower.
Fly from Malaysia?
Yep, like the Malaysian, yeah. It's not unusual for high-performance singles, multi-engine, or even single-engine airplanes. We have a lot of Pilotuses out there now, like our Pilotuses here, who like to fly upside down or something like that. So watch out for those things, too, because they are single-engine, but that don't mean they aren't faster than you are. Many antique airplanes. Boy, are they coming up. We got a guy over here that likes to fly those things. Older airplanes, they fly a lot slower than even we do. in our Cessna. So watch out for them. Watch out for Robert when he's flying in his, what is it, T6 and what else?
T6 isn't very slow, but the Stearman is.
The Stearman is, yeah. You flew the Stearman today, right, or yesterday?
Saturday.
Saturday, okay. You're gonna be flying a DC-3 here pretty soon too, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. I don't know what the speeds are on that way. No matter what size of the pattern your aircraft requires, you should follow the traffic pattern as published. And of course, if you don't know, then overfly the field well above traffic pattern to take a look and see what the wind sock is saying and what shows as being the runway that's supposed to be being used. Let's see. Do not exceed 30 degrees angle of bank, just so that you don't get into a stall spin situation. If you don't make the runway, you pass by it as you go around, don't try to get back to get to it, unless you know that you don't have to go over 30 degrees angle bank. That's just a suggestion. If you can't make that runway, do a go around. Nobody's going to laugh at you. You're not in the Air Force where the commander's going to chew you out or anything like that. Just do a go around. The pattern altitudes, generally speaking, are 1,000 feet above the field, generally speaking. Sometimes they're 800 feet. That's where, again, you're going to have to pay attention to your pre-flight before you get to that uncontrolled airfield. Of course, we don't have to worry about twins or anything like that, so I'm not even going to bring that up. That's the last statement. What's the difference between a no tower and a tower? Well, it's instructions and advisories. The tower issues taxi clearances and arrival instructions and things like that. The non-powered airport, guess who's in charge? The pilot in command. Yes, you are the one that gets to be the tower, the pilot, the ground person, everything. The CTA after common frequency, you should monitor at all times, just like what Art was talking about back there. You should at least monitor that. It also should be, and I don't know if it's the right one, if it's wrong on the chart, it might be wrong in the flight directory too. I don't know. Somebody could look that up, should look that up. Most FBOs have a Unicom frequency, just like what Art was talking about, but again, they're not under any obligation to talk on that radio or even listen to it. It's just a courtesy. If you got a real good person running the place, like back in the old days at Riverside Airport or Redlands Airport, John Kruger, when he was the FBO there, he was always on that radio. You could call him up and he would always answer. But it's not quite that way anymore. So, actually, that's true, and I do know a couple of places that it is the janitor, but he's also a pilot too. So, Fred and I were in New Mexico at this airport where the guy. He was the FBO, he was the fuel guy, he was also cooked breakfast for you, he did all that stuff, and he's also the one that talked on the radio. That was fun. That really was that was a good time, if it hadn't been so expensive for the Aero Club. But okay, again, the common frequency is for collision avoidance and airport direct advisory. Be specific as to what you're doing, what your model of your airplane. Make sure you announce at the front and at the back what airport you're landing at. That's another thing that you don't hear people do. Just like what John was saying, he was at him and he was hearing people trying to talk to French Valley. I've been at Rialto, and people would be talking to, I think it was French Valley, and they weren't announcing what airport. You're sitting there and you get on there, what airport are you landing at? You're supposed to name the airport at the beginning and at the end, not just, oh, I'm landing. Because now you have about 10 airports out here that's got the same frequency. We're sitting there looking for somebody landing on their airport. Last three alphanumerics of the N number. What are your intentions? And then again, name of the airport. Be brief. You can abbreviate your call sign in a non-towered airport, but unless somebody else has a number it's similar to yours, then you may want to call the whole thing out. Scott.
I also want to point out that CTAF is not a Twitter frequency.
Is what?
A Twitter frequency.
Oh, it's not? Really? Okay. It's not a Twitter frequency, okay. Let's see. Watch out, there are many aircraft with no radio or not talking at all, as we just talked about with French Valley. IFR students and instructors, helicopter pilots are practicing and all that kind of stuff. Okay, those flash points you're seeing up there, they're yellow on my computer. I don't know what they are up there, but
They're green.
They're green? Okay, good. The green splash points is usually the danger places, and those are the places you need to really keep your eyes open. How many remember the two airplanes that crashed into each other out of Corona a few years ago? Yeah, that was a pretty bad situation. The plane was flying up the canyon from Orange County, and I think it was student pilot was flying the pattern just like that. There's nothing wrong, okay? Now the other guy, he happened to be at pattern altitude too, kind of flying up from Corona. And they plowed right into each other, killed one guy on the ground inside one of the auto place. I mean, who would have guessed? He comes to work and it's and works inside of a building. Who would ever thought a plane comes crashing through the roof and kills this guy? But it didn't look good. The news media made a big deal about it, how dangerous flying is and how we need to get rid of airplanes and all that kind of stuff. And, every time something like this happens, the news media loves to make, little airplanes especially the most dangerous thing that's flying out there.
Didn't get a tire either.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So just watch out for those areas right there. And anywhere around that traffic pattern, doesn't matter where you're at. Be prepared. Turn on your landing lights within 10 miles of the airport. Practice sterile cockpit. Don't talk. Even if you've got a baby. Preset everything that can be done on the ground or before you get into inbound. Make sure you have everything all set up, the comm frequencies and everything. Much of those things should be done anyhow. That's one of the things that I know Joan is getting hit with John. So, and she's sitting there going, yeah. When coming into non-hour field, consider where is your place in the pattern and who are you following. That's the other thing. Keep your eyes open. Like we were talking about with French Valley, keep your eyes open for those other airplanes. Are they faster or are they slower? I've had it many times where I've gone into pattern where I was actually faster. Is somebody overtaking or converging on you? Now, in some ways, that's kind of hard for you to see. The T-34s, a little bit better because you can see all the way around. And the T-41s, not as much. You can't really see behind you that well. I mean, you can, but it's not necessarily to the point where you're going to be able to see anything. One of the little things that I was taught by my instructor way back, and I won't say what years, is that if you have a shadow of your airplane, look around your shadow. If there's another airplane that's converging on you, you'll see that shadow too. And believe me, it does work, because I had it happen one time, way years ago. And so you'll see the other airplanes down there too. Let's see. Make sure that you conform to the traffic pattern, and are you aligned with the runway on final approach? Are you clear? Is the runway clear? Is the aircraft configured? Make sure you set yourself up for a stabilized approach. Let's see, real quick. Oh yeah, these are some of the entry. If you're flying in like over the field, I think it's the one on the left. The one on the right, I don't like. I don't really think that should be done. But if you're coming in and you have them to go over the field in order to get into the traffic pattern, you want to be at least 500 feet above the traffic pattern at least. You might want to be higher than that. And then you come down around and come out, teardrop, and come back in at a 45 at the traffic pattern at that point and go into the traffic pattern. I've had some people do it on the right. I'm just not so sure if that's really a good thing to do. The one on the left, I think, is a lot safer. Yeah, you're going to use a little more fuel, but so what? It's better to use more fuel. Okay, which way do I go? That's just what I was talking about earlier. You got the windsock, and you have a lot of airports. I know up in my hometown area, a lot of airports are just like that. You have these little bars showing you what the traffic pattern is, and depending on which way you're landing, that's the way you should go. And of course, everybody knows, it's all dependent if there's mountains on one side or buildings or houses or something like that. And you can always have a approach plate. They do come in handy. They tell you where everything about the airport. If that airport that you're going to, there are a lot of non-towered airports now that have these things because of GPS approaches now. And if your airport you're going into is non-towered, but if they have a GPS approach, get a copy of that, because it tells you a lot of things about that airport. And then of course you got AOPA, and you got a lot of helps in that area. And of course, one of the things to do I highly recommend is if there's an FBO on the field or anybody that's from that field, call them up. Tell them, hey, how do I get in there? Is it unsafe, safe, whatever? It's a wealth of knowledge to call up somebody who knows about that field. Okay, any questions so far? Okay. This is pretty much, I think this is just, yeah, it's 4 o'clock. I can't even read it from up here. Okay, look, no, before you go, yeah, this is just a summary of what you got to do when you get in the traffic pattern. Most of this we talked about already. I don't see anything in there I need to really go over unless you do. It's pretty much the same stuff that I just covered. Okay, safety triangle. Okay, any questions? Any complaints? No, forget it. No complaints. Okay, don't forget to sign the sign-in sheet. I do have some people, and I don't know if all of you are in here or not, I do have some people that I keep getting credit card rejections for dues, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. So I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if it's because, well, a lot of them got hit with the Target thing. Matter of fact, today I just had one of the guys that rejected, and it was because Target, he got hit with his bank decided that his card was compromised. So, but please, 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 if your card runs out or something happens and you don't have the same card, please let me know, because it's a real pain in the neck. I'll tell you. It's the dues program I run on now is really easy to run. It's super, super neat. It runs automatically without me putting my hands on it anymore. It runs automatically on the 15th of the month, whether it be on a holiday or a weekend. So, it does tell me when the money's not there. In other words, the card's okay, but there just wasn't enough money. Usually those cards I rerun again and after a couple of days. And most of them all go through the second time. But there are some people in there that says bad card. And they're the ones that usually are not here. The guys who are willing to pay, you're here. And I know you guys do. I'm not worried about you guys. It's the ones that either don't show up here, never answer my email, never answers the phone calls or anything. They're the ones that, and we lost $770 just from rejected credit cards this last run. So, without any further ado, I think
Can I see all the T-34 drivers after the meeting, please?
Uh-oh, okay. All right, next meeting's on 15 April. And Fred, I need to see Fred.
My credit card thing? I haven't got any dirty emails from you.
No, you
Wanted to
weren't.
make sure.
No, you're fine. Yeah, you were one of the good guys.
See you tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. I think I might come over and start trying to do some other stuff.